in front of the flame and it doesn't burn you, as long as you go through quickly at 150 degrees. But a weird thing is, if you take tungsten, the surface of the sun is 5,000 degrees centigrade. Tungsten vaporizes at about 6,000 degrees centigrade. Right? If you put Brown's gas burning against tungsten, it will not only melt it, it will vaporize it. What we're talking about here is not the normal physics where it comes to melting point and vaporization point. We're talking alchemy. Alchemy is the ability for something to change the structure of another substance in a way that we don't fully understand just yet. There was always that chase to turn base metal into gold. That's where alchemy started. They wanted to actually try and make gold out of other things. So there was an awful lot of that went on. But this is what Brown's gas can do, and it's available now and you can buy it. It's a bit bad to weld with. I asked a welder who, if he'd ever tried it, he said, yeah, but it's too unstable. You can't control it like you can with a proper welding gear. But you can cut through anything. And so maybe, if they had Brown's gas in those days, making an obelisk like that would have been a fairly quick task. But then you say, did they have electricity in those days? Anybody think? Yeah, the Egyptians? Yep, they found a battery. They found a battery buried in Iraq, which was dated 6000 BC. A small clay jar, and if you filled it with fruit juice or vinegar, what would happen would be it would give out 1.5 volts. And so they had electricity even in Egyptian times. But of course, that's smoothed over and nobody talks about that as being something that the Egyptians might have had. So, any questions?
Did they ever find out how he actually moved the granite stones? Was there ever a secret revealed?
No.
And nobody ever saw him working?
No, they heard him singing to the stones. All there was eyewitness reports of stones moving in the space of 10 minutes. But that was it. Nobody ever knew his secret. It died with him.
So why did he keep that information to himself? Why didn't he share that knowledge?
There were lots of his notes. He made loads and loads of notes about magnetism, and hopefully this book I'm going to receive will show an awful lot of this. You also have to remember as well is that people like this, like somebody else said, if you start bringing in weird stuff into the public domain, you become a target for the people who don't want to be there. For example, Tesla, Nikola Tesla, the stuff that he invented, it is thought that he invented something where we could have had a power generator here, putting out electricity, and cars could have had an aerial on them to receive that electricity through the air and work on the air. He knew how to send electricity through space from one place to another. But his boss was Westinghouse. Right? Westinghouse was supplying the money. And what do Westinghouse make? They make copper cable. And so you don't want somebody coming along and saying, you don't need cable anymore because I can send it through the air. You'd say, well, you can stop that for a start, otherwise the funding's just going to dry up. And there are other things. It was Tesla that invented alternating current. They were using direct current only. And they had a big battle as to what was going to win. If we had direct current now, rather than AC that this is running on now, we would have had to have a power station every half a mile. Because direct current loses itself when it's transported like that. You cannot take it very far before it drops off. Alternating current, they can run it along pylons by boosting up the voltage and take it miles, and it's still usable at the other end when they transform it back down again. Not so with direct current. And they even had grisly experiments where they had people sentenced to death, and what they did was they showed the danger of alternating current by applying it to prisoners who were sentenced to death, just to see how much they'd jump about and char. So this was all the politics to do with the time. And in the end, alternating current won. It was deemed to be far more useful than direct current.
Is that ECC?
Pardon?
Well, ECT makes they have to scrap them down, don't they?
Yes.
But,
Nowadays they
it's supposed to
anaesthetise.
be therapy.
Yeah,
How they can put those three words together, I don't know. Electroconvulsive therapy.
yeah.
That's right.
So, yeah, that's it. That's the end of the talk. Unless there's any more questions, and we're going to move on to the AGM.
Thank you very much, Steve.
Thank you.